Friends, welcome back. Are you hearing my voice? నా వాయిస్ వినిపిస్తున్నామా? Okay. So now continue my uh, lecture again. Uh, Before that, I have to share screen. Yeah, okay. So are you getting my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so as a part of history of modern world, 1871 to 1964, uh, it had the four modules. The first module we already discussed about the rise of imperialism and rivalry among colonial powers, and in the same context. As a part of rivalry among colonial powers, you will see imperialist hegemony over the Africa and Asia. Okay, so whereas the colonies is increased and the domination of European powers increase, automatically the imperialistic hegemony has taken place. Okay, so every wealthy nation of Europe, they are looking for a number of colonies. Okay, so maintaining the number of colonies and highest number of colonies they consider as a the wealthiest state. Okay, so the which is like which is which gives somewhat the imperialist hegemony over this Africa and Asia, where the number of colonies you find. Okay, so and for the colonies or within the colonies, these European powers also providing certain facilities, particularly in the sake of their mother lands, the sake of imperialist countries, not the colonies. Okay, so and in the same module, we can also discuss about the political conditions on the eve of First World War also. Okay, so certain things has happened before the First World War, and you are well known that First World War has taken place in June 1914 or like that, and before 1914 number of things are the situation in the world is somewhat tension before just before the First World War. Okay, so and these are the imperialism is one of the main concept for the this First World War, and also unification of Germany and unification of Italy also the main also one of the reason for occurrence of First World War, and maintaining these colonies and the hegemonic the imperialistic hegemony and rivalry among these European powers also the important reasons for the First World War. Okay, so occurrence of First World War. Okay, we'll see any things which happened before the First World War. Okay, so Italy and Germany both are newly formed states, which maintaining some extreme nationalistic feeling, and they thinking that their race was somewhat the race is high in the world. The race was best in the world, and they want to rule the world. Okay, so such the extreme nationalistic feeling, which created somewhat tension in the world, and which is also lead to the First World War. Okay, so these are the things we can discuss within the module one, and when you see in the module two, we'll start with the reasons, the reasons for the occurrence of First World War, and as a part of the factors or reasons and causes of First World War, will complete. Okay, so we'll see certain alliances which taken place before the First World War. Okay, so where two groups has formed. One is triple entity and triple alliance. Okay, so the triple entity is a combination of the combination of the Russia, France, and Italy, and triple alliance is a combination of Germany, Italy, Austria, and Hungary on one side. Okay, so such two groups has taken place, and within the sides of these two groups, number of countries joined, and which created somewhat tension. Okay, so which leads to the First World War, and another one is the formation of these alliances, and which created certain tension, and apart from that, you'll see apart from these formation of alliances, other causes also you'll see, which is better to be called as the immediate cause is nothing but the Austrian government, which given ultimatum to the Bosnia, um, where is asking about explanation within the 48 hours. Okay, so Bosnia properly, not properly responded, and Austria declared war on Bosnia, and Austria was supported by the Germany, Italy on one side, and which Bosnia was supported by Russia, Britain, and France on the other side, which is a starting point for the First World War. Okay, so which is better to be called as the murder of this Ferdinand, who was Prince of Austria, who visited the Bosnia, and a Bosnian Serb was murdered, assassinated the Ferdinand, and the Austrian government asked the explanation, and the Bosnian government not properly responded. So Austrian government declared the war. Okay, so this is the spark for the First World War, and number of countries which joined on both sides. One on the countries joined in the Triple Alliance on one side, and triple joined in the triple entity on the other side. Okay, so likewise, the First World War has taken place, and the First World War, which due to the First World War, certain loss taken place, and millions of deaths has taken place, and many total damage to the participated countries, and some economical loss to the indirectly participated countries also taken place. Okay, so due to the First World War, the First World War taking place up to 1918, and in the middle of the First World War, the Russia was withdrawn in 1917 due to certain internal causes. And in the place of USSR, USA joined, where the USA's ship was destroyed by Germany, and to the response of that incident, USA entered in the war, and after USA entry in the war is went somewhat peak stage. Okay, so and finally, these triple alliance, the nations in the triple alliances was surrendered in the 1918 in the month of September. Okay, so finally these the elite uh, the nations, the victorious nations like France, USA, and Britain, who uh, restricted certain restrictions on the defeated countries like countries like Austria, Germany, and Italy, Turkey, like that. Okay, so as a part of the agreement, as a part of these restrictions, and these defeated countries gone under agreements. Okay, so like the Germany had a agreement with the victorious countries is nothing but the Treaty of Versailles. Okay, so the Treaty of Versailles is one of the important agreement which taken place in between Germany and other victorious countries, and those victorious countries treated Germany as the main country who responsible for the First World War, and imposed a number of restrictions on the Germany, where the Germany has to, according to Treaty of Versailles, the Germany has to pay the huge war duty as a war indemnity, and many restrictions like the navy warships has to decrease, and the number of soldiers has to decrease, and some captured and territories has to be loose. Okay, so the Rhine Confederation has also returned, and Alsace-Lorraine, which taken from France, also returned, and another police corridor also returned. Okay, so like so according to Germany uses wealth and power and also manpower, industrial power, or like that. Okay, so in the same way, Turkey had some agreement has taken place, and Italy has some agreement has taken place, and Austria has some agreement has taken place. Okay, so likewise, among them, the Treaty of Versailles is one of the important treaty where the Germany lose his confidence particularly. Okay, so and after that, there is one historical event has taken place, nothing but as a part of these agreements, League of Nations, one peaceful organization want to be which to be proposed by the Woodrow Wilson, then the president of USA. So according to his wish, the League of Nations has started after the end of the the First World War, and the League of Nations has started in 1920. Okay, so and we'll discuss about League of Nations, and after that we also discuss about the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution is taken place in 1917, 17. Okay, so where the Bolshevik government has came to the power, and where Lenin and Stalin became two important powerful leaders who emerged in the Russia, and we'll see the reforms which followed by Lenin and Stalin in Russia also. Okay, so then we'll see post-war diplomacy, and then we'll discuss about the world economic depression which taken place 1929 and its impact. Okay, so due to 1929 world economic depression, the number of countries who participated in the First World War and indirectly participated First World War were seriously damaged their economical conditions. Okay, so such things we'll discuss in the module 2. And after that, we'll go with module 3. In the module 3, we'll see about Europe between two world wars. Okay, so the First World War ended in 1918, 18, and the Second World War started in 1939. Okay, so in between these 20 years, okay, so in between these 20 years, number of changes has taken in the world. Okay, so how the European nations, how the status of European nations in between these two world wars we'll see. Okay, so after the First World War. Even though the Italy and Germany having some restrictions, though they which turned into somewhat a powerful nations uh, uh, under the leadership of Hitler in the Germany and Mussolini in the Italy. Okay, so these two personalities who started some awareness among these two countries, and these two leaders again make both made the Italy and Germany into some powerful nations just before the Second World War. Okay, so they encouraged the people of Italy and Germany with the racial aggression, and also again they encouraged the extreme nationalism, and through that again the mentality of these two personalities, which became the reasons for the Second World War also. Okay, so as a part of Europe between the two world wars, we'll see all these things, and the rise of fascism in Italy, and Mussolini and his policies, and the rise of Nazism in Germany, and Hitler's policies. Okay, so and as a part of module, we also see about rise of militarism in Japan. Okay, so after Meiji Restoration, during the Meiji Restoration, the Japan became somewhat independent country, and industrialized, which turned into the industrialized country, and he got some technological support from the various USA and other European nations, and these Japan, which turned into a somewhat wealthiest and industrialized countries along with the other European nations. Okay, so Japan became a powerful nation in the Asian continent. Okay, so and these the attitude of Japan and the attitude of Italy and Germany, which created somewhat uncertainty in the world, and which became which these were the again leads to the Second World War. Okay, so as a part of Second World War, we'll see the causes of the Second World War, and like the First World War, before the Second World War, also certain things happened, and the whole world which turned into two important groups, which turned into some which is like again the Hitler and Mussolini, the attitude of Hitler and Mussolini, which again formed other groups like a military groups and the Hitler's Hitler's attitude, which created some tension also, where the Germany occupied the Poland and one side, and Italy attacked Ethiopia or other countries in the African continent, which created some tension and which leads to the Second World War. Okay, so we'll discuss every reason for the First World War, and the First World War which started in 1939 and ended in 1945. Okay, so which is in between. There is the League of Nations which is started in 1920, but it's not discontinued. It's not continued up to 1935 or 1939 because the powerful nations like USA was a proposed nation, not being the member of League of Nations, and other countries like Germany and Japan who withdraw their membership, and the League of Nations had no separate military strength and no economical strength. Due to these defects, the League of Nations not even control any conflicts arise in between the two countries. Okay, so in the same way, the Second World War also not controlled by the League of Nations. Before the starting of Second World War, this League of Nations utterly failed and declined. Okay, so the failure of League of Nations also one of the cause for occurrence of Second World War. Okay, so the Second World War created a huge loss of men and wealth also, and many countries severely lose their properties and human resource are like that. Okay, so even though the ENO also, the Second World War also taken place and happened, and finally stopped. Okay, so after the end of the Second World War, another peaceful organizations, organization which came in the scene, nothing but the ENO. Okay, so due to efforts of ESA and other countries, the ENO has emerged. Okay, so United Nations organization which emerged in 1945, October 24th. Okay, so this is ENO, which is one of the peaceful organization which emerged to control and propagate peace and security in the world, and control tensions in between the various countries, and apart from these, the UNO also following certain other things in the form of social, cultural, and economical activities also. Okay, so all these things we'll see while moving with syllabus detail in the further classes. Okay, so when you see in the module 4, after the Second World War, the huge and heavy loss has taken place. Overall, the world, countries of the world, and particularly due to loss within the Second World War, many number of European countries uh, uh, they are leaving their colonies from the Asia and Africa like that. Okay, so in the same way, the uh, the European nation, the Great Britain was a great European nation having the highest number of colonies, and due to the defects, due to huge loss in the Second World War, uh, gradually the Britain uh, left from various colonies. Okay, so in the same way, in the in the Africa and Asia, uh, number of countries which liberated from the dominance of European nations, and not only this was not taken place very easily due to certain efforts from the past years, due to these national liberation movements which taken place in the number of countries in Asia and Africa. Finally, the European nations has left from those nations, and they got the independence finally. Okay, so such nations like India and Indonesia and also Egypt, uh, and also other countries like many countries in Africa, which became the independent nations. Okay, so we also discuss about national liberation movements in Africa and Asia also. Okay, so then we'll move to rise of superpowers. Okay. So USA, which is having is USA, which is a capitalist power, and on the other, USSR following a socialist pattern under the banner of the communism. So these two countries headed two blocks. Okay, so one is the capitalist bloc is headed by USA, and the communist bloc headed by USSR, and those two blocks turned into somewhat military blocks, and which had certain tension arised in between the USA and USSR. And on one side, the USA started NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and on other side, Warsaw Pact started by the USSR, which created some high tension in between these two blocks. Okay, so then there is a warlike situation has taken place, and to control that situation, India and other like-minded countries have started a middle path, nothing but non-alignment movement, which is which is a neutral organization which initiated by the India, and which controlled such, the warlike situation. Okay, so dear students, this is about my general introduction over the history of world, history of modern world, paper 4. Okay, so okay, students, I can stop at this moment, and I will continue my lecture in the tomorrow's class. Okay, so students, I am ending my class now. Shall I end my class?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, right.